Is it spring? I mean, it is September 25th. I really have the creative energy like I normally have in the spring. I didn't have that energy this spring. It's like I'm flip-flopped. I am so inspired to make everything, which is very dangerous because I'm trying and supposed to be finishing up my whips. Friends, thanks for joining me today. My name is Amber, and this is a Lovely Yarn podcast. This is where I talk about all of my fiber fun, knitting, crocheting, spinning, embroidery, all that. It's mostly knitting, to be honest. I feel like I say this every time, but I'm so excited for today's episode because it is going to be all about my fall knitting plans. And I just want to, I think next time I film, I'm probably gonna have like 5 new sweaters cast on. I am throwing all caution to the wind and I'm just gonna dive in because I have all the yarn. Well, I have the yarn for all the sweaters except for one. Typically in the spring, feel so inspired and creative, and that did not happen this year. And that was probably the first time that did not happen for many, many years. I don't know, it was weird, I don't know. I blame everything on perimenopause because that's where I am, that's a season of my life. All joking aside, I just did not feel the surge of creative energy to the degree that I normally feel it in the spring. Now it is hitting me hard. It's hitting me so hard. I have noticed lately that what I'm preferring to knit are garments. I just want to knit all garments. So what I'm going to be talking about today, I think almost everything is going to be a sweater pattern. Thank you for joining me. Let's get right into it. First thing I want to talk about is actually a finished object. And I am so excited about this sweater. It is absolutely lovely. It fits me like a glove. That is so cliche to say, but it is true. This is the perfect fit. This sweater turned out perfectly. I could not be more happy. This is the step-by-step cardigan. This is a pattern by Florence Miller, and it is meant to be oversized. And I don't know if she means for it to be cropped. I think she does. I made mine not cropped, but probably a little bit shorter than most of my cardigans. I absolutely love this. I'm going to put some footage of me over here actually wearing it and modeling it so you can see how it fits me. This has been on my needles for a long time because I started it last winter and then I ran out of yarn and then I ordered more and then it came and then it was summer and I just did not feel like knitting on this big, thick, cozy sweater. So I just picked this back up at some point in August, the end of August maybe, after I did my whole whip down video, and I finished it and I just could not be more happy. Lily, my daughter, tried to steal it off of me and I was like, no, this one's mine. Although let's be real. I would give it to her. I would give it to her. But she said it was a little bit too itchy. She's so extremely sensitive. I don't find this the least bit scratchy. This sweater I knit with Drops Air in the mauve colorway, and also held that double with Purl Soho Linen Quill in the peach stone colorway, which all those details for everything I talk about will be down in the description box below. So the gauge that I got for this sweater was a bit bigger than the gauge that the pattern called for. In other words, I think my gauge was 13 and the gauge is supposed to be 16 maybe? 15 and a half, 16 inches per 4 inches, or 16 stitches per 4 inches. I got 13. So I cast it on the 3rd size, and which is supposed to be approximately for a 37-inch bust. And then I ended up not doing all the increases in the pattern after I split for the sleeve. So after you split for the sleeves, you continue increasing. I did not. And I love that I have the freedom to just modify as I go, which, I mean, everyone does. If you're a knitter, we can make our clothing to fit us and we can modify the pattern. And the more you knit, I think the more comfortable you get with that. So if you are a beginner knitter and you're not super comfortable with that, it's okay. I think it'll eventually, if you keep knitting, it will eventually come. Okay, so I don't really have a whole lot to say. Oh, what I did want to mention, and I should mention also that this has not been blocked yet. I don't think I'm going to block it. If anything, I'll do like a light steam block. But the only thing that I maybe do want to block are right there. I probably want to do a steam block of the buttons, the button band, because do you see how it's kind of like wavy there? I don't like that. It looks like it's pulling, but it's not. Also, can you see I screwed up the distance between, these are all pretty well spaced, but this one, yeah, messed that one up, but it's okay because this is a handmade item. I've put aside my desire for perfection when I'm making things handmade, and so I'm perfectly fine with this. These were just some wooden buttons that I had in my stash from literally probably 15 to 18 years ago. And I would have liked to get, actually, I really wanted to order some buttons from Holland Hoof Farm. But I also thought, no, I want to get this finished so I can start wearing it. I can always replace the buttons later. And I just attach them using the yarn. I used actually the linen quill just to attach these buttons. But one thing I want to say, if you're knitting this pattern, or if you're planning on knitting the pattern, the button band is picked up later, and it is a double knitted button band, which is really, really beautiful and nice, and it gives a nice finish. So you're basically, if you've not done double knitting before, you're like knitting, slipping a stitch, knitting, slipping a stitch, knitting, slipping a stitch. And then on the way back, you're doing the same thing. So you're essentially making a tube. And it's a beautiful look. It gives a really beautiful finish. I mean, look at that neckline. It's lovely, absolutely gorgeous, but it takes forever. However, why I'm saying this is because just stick with it, persevere, because it's totally worth it in the end. At one point, I was probably only like, I don't know, 10 inches into the button band. And I'm like, I am just going to do a regular old ribbed button band because I just want this sweater done. I've been working on it for a really long time, but I did not. And I'm so happy that I didn't. And I am planning on knitting this sweater again, and I will do the double knitted button band again. Can you see right here how I messed something up? So I was knitting this, this portion, I was distracted while I was knitting it, and I accidentally messed up the double knitting. And so you can only see these like purl bump stitches on the back side, but it left this little square. And I think what I'm gonna do, rather than like try to steam that out like crazy, because I don't even know that would work because it's like tension, it's pulling pretty tight there. I think I'm going to embroider a little heart or something on there. I'm going to embroider something on there. I think that would be just because it's like at a really good place. Look, it's at a really good place to just have like a little special touch there. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. So I only have one other finished object, which was the prayer socks that I was making for my friend's father. I did already deliver those to him because I was going to be seeing him Wednesday night. So I recorded a little thing Wednesday before I took them. I don't know that I'm going to show the whole thing. Maybe I'll just put up some footage of me holding them and showing you how they turned out. But just real quick, I used Picks Stroll Tweed held double with all different kinds of commercially dyed sock yarn that were in different shades of blue or that kind of shade family. And I contrasted the toes, heels, and cuffs with just this held double. I cast on 52 stitches after doing 60, which is what the internet told me on size US 2 needles. The 60 was way too big. Ended up, the sock actually looked like a sweater sleeve. So I had ripped that out, and then I did the cast on of 52 stitches, and that was perfect. And so I was able to give this to him, and he was very, very thankful, and that made me feel really good. So those two things are my only finished objects. But really the meat of this episode is what I plan on making this fall. And I'm just going to preface this with saying I'm not going to be able to make all these things this fall. I'm going to probably cast them all on because I'm feeling a little crazy. But these will probably be my fall cast-ons and my winter / early spring next year finishes. I don't know. We will see. We are moving into the time of year where I have more knitting time, so perhaps I will completely just astound myself with my knitting capacity, but I don't know. I don't know. The first one I'm going to show you is a whip. So I've already started it. I showed it a bit on my beach knitting blog that I just put up last Saturday, but it is the Drea, and this is my third time knitting this pattern. I'm trying to get everything untangled here. And oh my gosh, I am loving. Ooh, it's so pretty. Oh, wow. I love this. I love this. I'm using Drops Air. I like Drops Air a lot. It is a blown yarn, which means it has like a synthetic nylon-based tubing that they blow alpaca into. And, well, let me grab the tube or the band. So it has baby alpaca and merino wool blown into a polyamide tube. So it's 28% polyamide, 7% wool, and 65% alpaca. Drops Air. And the color, I'm using this color, and this is my contrast color, this blue. This is color 2, this is color 45. I decided to, after I polled you guys, and it was pretty much split down the middle. Should I make the body of this sweater blue or the cream color? And it was mostly, I mean, not exactly, but probably like 50-50 on what you guys thought. I decided to make the blue the contrast color and the off-white the main color of the body, simply because I don't have a handmade colorwork sweater that is that light color, and my other Drea is the dark charcoal color, so I wanted something a little bit different. Although as I'm knitting this yoke, I am kind of like, should I just switch the body to blue? Because I could totally do that. You know what I mean? Like use the contrast as the main body color. But I'm really thinking, no, I just decided I want this to be the off-white color. I really love this blue, but I so far have only, and I've only used like, these are they 100-gram skeins? No, they're 50-gram skeins. And I haven't even used a whole blue one yet. Now this sweater does have color work at the ribbing along the bottom, and then it also has it around the arms. So I may have to break into a second ball of it, but I have a sweater's quantity of this, and I would like to make this just a sweater all its own, because this is like, blue is my color. So yes, I am very happy with this. Let me tell you the details as far as size go. So I am knitting size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm knitting size 5, which is a finished measurement of the full chest of 43 3/4 inches. And this is intended to be worn with 2 to 4 inches of positive ease. This is the same size I knit my other one, my charcoal colored one, and I like the way that that one fits me. I am actually trying to knit this at a little bit of a looser gauge so that it is maybe a little bit looser and has a little bit more ease, but it's going to be pretty similar to my other one that I made for myself. And I have followed this so far, which I'm only in the yoke, but I have followed this to pattern. Now the pattern does give you an option of doing a ribbed neckline or a rolled neckline. I like the rolled neckline. That's how I knitted my other two. I just think that looks really pretty with how this color work starts here, like this banner that runs along the neck. The ribbed neckline looks fine with it, but I just really like how this folds over, and then you've got this really pretty banner right under the neckline. I'm using my Cocoa Knits magnetic thing. I cannot show you the colorwork chart, but let me just say this was well worth the investment. I am not like getting any money for promoting this product, but I will say this is one of my favorite knitting tools now because I do love to knit color work so much. So this, having bought a cheap flat board from Amazon thinking that would work, did not like that because I had nowhere else to put my other, stuff. This one, let me take the chart out. This one has like so much. You can shove in the other pages in here. Like, it's just so nice. This was definitely worth the money for me since I do like to knit color work quite frequently. And I'm almost done with the yoke. I'm almost done with the color work portion. And then I'm going to be getting into the part that is going to be more boring because it's just going to be stockinette. But then I will have a little bit of color work then at the bottom of the arms and the body. So that is my Dreama sweater. This is a pattern by Jennifer Steingass or Knit Love Wool. My other whip that I'm working on right now is called the Rosa Little. This is a pattern by Alongabeck Anna. I am knitting this for a friend of mine who is due to have her baby actually like in October, beginning of October. So relatively soon. Let me show you this pattern. It reminds me, honestly, of the Felix cardigan because of the little lace eyelet increases at the raglan there. Anyway, I'm not going to talk a lot about this one, but I will just tell you the yarn that I'm using. It's this You So Sporty. I got this at the Salty Sheep yarn store in Swansboro, North Carolina, while we were on vacation, and this is the vanilla colorway. I am knitting. Oh, of course I'm in the middle of a round. Of course I am. So I am knitting this the 3 to 6 month size, but I'm knitting it on the needles that are called for in the pattern, but I'm actually I'm trying to really relax my tension so that it's actually somewhere between the 3 and 6 months. Do you guys ever do that? I can't really show you this because of where I stopped, but you can see I'm currently doing the eyelet increases along the raglan. And yeah, not a whole lot to say about this. It's an easy sweater pattern, and I was hoping to actually get this done for today, which is today's Friday. My friend and her husband are actually coming over tonight for dinner. So my plan was to have this ready to gift to them tonight, but that's not going to happen. As you can see, I've got a lot to do yet. It's just, I just haven't been able to get this done, which is fine. Like I said, she's not due until beginning of October. I have a little bit of time. And besides that, the baby wouldn't be able to wear it anyway, right away. It'll be too big. Okay, now this next little segment is all about a sweater that I'm knitting for my daughter, and it's a surprise. Now, Lily does not typically watch my podcasts, as far as I know, but she's also not home right now. She's out west in Wyoming on a trip. So Lily, if you see that I posted and you decide, oh, I really have missed my mom, so I want to watch her podcast this time, honey, I need you to turn it off. Like, don't watch anymore because there's a surprise for you. Okay, so hopefully if Lily was watching, she is no longer watching. When I went to Magpie Knits, which is in Charlottesville, Virginia, we went there at the beginning of January, and Lily found this beautiful sweater there that she absolutely fell in love with, and I love to knit for my family, so her and Brad ended up leaving, and they went and looked at some other shops while I stayed at Magpie Knits. And so her name, is it Susan or Sandy or gosh, I forget her name. The owner was working that day. And so I told her, I want to knit that sweater for my daughter. I need that yarn. So it is I may mispronounce this. I'm probably going to mispronounce it actually, but it is the Urus sweater by Agyoy Knit. I apologize. I think this is like a Danish pattern. But I wanted to knit it in the yarn that the sample was knit in because that was the yarn. That was the one Lily really, really liked. So this is Queensland Collection Yarn, Kathmandu Aran. And it is in cream, number 31. I think I have 7 skeins of it, which is probably going to be more than what I need for it, but I wanted to order it. I always like to err on the side of caution. So what happened was she did not have this particular color in the shop. She was all out. So she had to order it for me, which was actually a better situation because then I did not walk out of the yarn shop and have to show Lily and Brad what I bought and Lily be like, oh, what's that for? Because she's very curious about my knitting. So I was glad Susan, Sandy, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't remember her name. But she had it shipped when she placed the order, she had it shipped directly to me so that I could keep this a secret. I do plan on scanning this up into like cakes of yarn so that I could get started on this while Lily is away. Now Lily's gone during the day anyway, every day. So I don't see a problem being able to get this done. I want to knit this for her for Christmas. So 7 skeins of this, and this pattern, it says it calls for Aran weight, which this is Aran weight. Particular yarn is 85% wool, 10% silk, and 5% cashmere. And the pattern is a cabled pattern. The interesting thing about this particular pattern, it is not knit top down or bottom up. It is actually knit side to side through the sleeves. And then you go back at the end and you seam the sides down, like you stitch them shut, and then you go and you pick up and do all your ribbing at the very end. I have never knit a sweater like that, so I'm very interested in this. And also, it's been a really long time since I've knit a cabled garment, and I've never knit an all-over cable garment, which is what this is as well. So this uses traditional cables, and my only complaint about the sweater would be the size is very limited. There's only 3 sizes, and it is for the finished measurements of 47 inches to 55 inches. So the sizing is very limited as far as only 3 sizes. Now it is meant to be for Lily, who is very small and petite. It's definitely going to be oversized for her, but she would prefer that, so it'll work out. But that is just something to consider and a little bit of a bummer. But I'm really excited to get started on this. Ooh, that's just such a pretty, it's a little more yellow in real life, but it's such a pretty color and it feels so soft. So I'm really excited to get started on this for her, and she will be so excited. She's going to be so excited whenever she opens this up Christmas morning, but I got to get a move on it because Christmas isn't that far away. So Purl Soho just had a 25% off their yarn sale, and I bought some for another sweater. I have been wanting to try the knitting yarn. That's the name of the line of that particular yarn, Purl Soho knitting yarn. I've been wanting to try it for a while, and I've used the Good Wool a lot. I've used Linen Quill. I love the Good Wool brand, or not brand, but line of Purl Soho. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite yarns. But I really wanted to give this knitting yarn a shot as well. And so when they had their, it was like an autumn equinox sale. I'm pretty sure it's over at this point, but I went ahead and bought myself enough to make another step-by-step cardigan. Okay, here is the color. Whoa, that's way more blue on screen than it is. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to get this color. Okay, this is more green in real life. And I want you to see, can you see the texture or the deepness? Like it's not just one color. It's got like blue, green, yellow, a little bit of yellow in it. I don't think this is translating on camera. That's too close. Maybe you can see it a little bit there, what I'm talking about. But this color is way less turquoise in real life. It looks so turquoise on screen, and it's more green. I am going to hold it double with this Purl Soho Tussock, which is their silk, and it is 60% fine kid mohair and then 40% silk. It is very, very soft. So this is extremely bright. So even though it looks very turquoise on screen and it's actually more green in real life, it still is a very bright colored yarn. And so I wanted to get this to kind of tone it down a little bit. Plus, I really love fuzzy cozy things. I'm a little concerned that I did not buy enough of the tussock silk, although we'll see. It's 328 yards per, is this a 25 gram? Yeah, 25 grams. And I only bought 3 of these. But I think it'll be okay as far as if I need to order more. I'm hoping, like, because of the way Purl Soho manufactures their yarn, I'm hoping that the dye, even if it's a different dye lot, it'll still be close enough. Do you know what I mean? So this is going to become another step-by-step cardigan because I really like that pattern. It's a great pattern. It fits me well. This is probably going to give me, no, it's definitely going to give me a different gauge. My gauge is going to be tighter with this, so I'm going to have to mess around with that. But I may end up being spot on to what my gauge should be according to the pattern. We're gonna see. I'm gonna do a gauge swatch. I'm gonna mess around with that, and we'll see what happens. But this is gonna be a cast on real soon. Okay, so my other purchase from the Salty Sheep Yarns shop was this. This is the Fiber Company Zero, which is a blend of Surrey alpaca, organic cotton, and merino wool. And I bought this because I wanted to hold it double with a yarn that I already had, which is Purl Soho Good Wool in the desert blue color. These are so incredibly like alike. They're so similar to one another. Now, this is why I haven't casted this on yet, because I was going to come home and cast on the Salty Days sweater by Veronica Lindbergh right away. But then I started thinking, do I want another pullover? I like pullovers, but like I'm knitting this Drea, and pullovers aren't as like I'm more warm now in my life than I used to be. So like cardigans are more practical, and I have way more pullovers than cardigans. So this is where I'm kind of hitting a wall. I have wanted to knit the Salty Days sweater for, I think, ever since she released it. I love the look of it. I love all that texture. I think it'd be really fun to knit. It would be a very engaging knit. But it's a pullover. But at the same time, it's a pullover with what looks like some lace work and stuff. So it's going to be like more open and airy. So it may end up being okay. So if any of you have knitted that, if you could shed some light on that, that would be great. Let me know. But then there are 2 other patterns that I've been wanting to knit. And the first one is called the Jean Cardigan. And this is a pattern by Johanna Girish. And it has this beautiful, it looks like fan and feather type of a patterning. And then it has the lace, and then it's got the V-neck, which I like. I prefer a V-neck cardigan. I like how they lay on me better. It's beautiful. I've had this in my favorites for a while. So I think that this would make a beautiful version of that. But then there's also this other really interesting pattern that I have in my favorites. And it is called the Evina cardigan. It's by Heidi Peterson. And it is a crocheted and a knitted. So it's taking both fiber arts practices and combining them, because you're crocheting your granny squares and then you're knitting the rest of the body. That sounds very interesting to me. And I've never done a sweater that is both knitted and crocheted. I've done all knitted sweaters or all crocheted sweaters. So I think it might be interesting to try that one. I don't know what to do. I don't want to stress about it, but at the same point, I'm like, what pattern? I think that this yarn would just go fantastic with all of those patterns. I just need to execute and make the decision. So the good wool is, I think Purl Soho lists it as a DK, but when I've used this to knit, I feel like it works up more like a sport weight or a very light DK. And then this Zero is, it's considered a sport weight yarn. So I may have to play around with gauge. This is why, as much as I don't like gauge swatching, I do gauge swatch for garments. Do I gauge swatch for any other kind of knitting patterns? No, I don't. But garments, because sometimes I gauge swatch and I end up having to rip out anyway because something happened and it didn't work out. But typically, if you gauge swatch, you're going to be it's going to be a safer situation as far as making sure you're picking the right size and all that. I feel like I've been asking you guys to chime in a lot, but I do really appreciate your insight. And it's also, I like to hear from people who have knit these patterns that I've not knit before. So like, I'm pretty sure the Salty Days sweater is a pretty popular pattern. I have not heard a lot of people talk about the other ones. Maybe the Avena cardigan, I've heard some people talk about more than the jean cardigan. I think I just found the jean cardigan just doing like some research for a cardigan episode that I had filmed, I think sometime last year. So if you guys have any insight on any of those patterns, I would appreciate you chiming in. And also just if you want to let me know what you think. It's nice to get input from other people and hear other people's insight on it. My obsession is what I want to talk about last. Guys, I don't typically get obsessed about knitting patterns. I really, really like certain knitting patterns. I'm often thinking about knitting, but this next pattern that I want to talk about, I'm actually like almost obsessively thinking about it and have been for the last 12 hours. So last night I went to knit night. One of my friends from knit night, her name is Kathy. She brought this gorgeous sweater to show us that she had finished, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I asked Kathy if I could take some footage of her holding the sweater and then with it on, and I did not pressure her into it because I never want people to feel pressured. And I always kind of struggle with asking people if they want to be filmed to be in the podcast, because not everybody's comfortable with that, and I never want to put somebody on the spot. But I asked Kathy, and she was fine with that. So I'm going to put some footage in here while I talk about it, and you can see this absolutely gorgeous sweater. So this pattern is called Rukatara. I believe that's what it's called. It's a pattern by Anna Johanna, and it is. I actually had this saved in my favorites and totally forgot about that. But it is knit with DK weight yarn. The pattern is written for DK weight yarn with a 23 stitch gauge on size US 4 and 5 needles. The pattern comes in 9 different sizes, and those sizes range from a 41 and 3/4 inch bust whole way up to 75 1/4 inch. Now, Kathy's was a little bit, well, actually, her gauge was a lot off, and she had knit the size large. And I think she said that she didn't gauge swatch, but her gauge was 16 stitches per 4 inches. But I actually really, really love the way that hers fit and how drapey it was. She used Queensland Kathmandu, the DK weight version of that. So this is the Aran weight. She used this in the DK weight, which it also has the same fiber content. It has the, what is it? What did I just say this was? 85% wool, 10% silk, 5% cashmere. And it was so drapey and lovely. Now, after Kathy tried it on, I tried it on, Jody tried it on, and we measured her finished bust or width, just like laid out the sweater flat, and Jody measured along from armpit to armpit. And the measurement was 58 3/4. 58 3/4, I believe is what it was. Normally, I would not want to wear something that oversized. My full bust is 37 inches. So normally I shoot for like 42 inches that gives me a nice amount of ease. But I wish I would have taken a picture or done some video with how it fit on me as well, because this sweater was amazing. Like, it looked good on all of us. We're all like different heights and body builds and stuff like that. And it looked good on all of us. And it was a very oversized sweater. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that it is dropped sleeves. And it's just, oh my gosh, I have just been obsessing over it. So now I got home from knit night, and I'm on Wool & Company. I'm looking up the yarn. I'm texting Kathy to find out what she used for her contrast yarn, because she didn't use the Kathmandu for that. She used Rowan felted tweed. And so the little pots were avocado. That was the color she used for that. And then the stems of the plants were turquoise. And I really, really loved how bright and vibrant hers was on the like the camel colored background. I just love it. I said, can I please copy yours? Like, I just want one just like yours. Actually, I said, can I just buy yours from you? It was so cozy and it just felt like it was just such a wonderful sweater. So I have not ordered the yarn yet because I don't typically make big yarn purchases impulsively. I typically try to sit on it for a while and just like make sure. So that's the process that I'm going through right now. I'm going to sit on it for a couple of days and make sure, because this sweater is going to be an investment if I decide to knit it exactly as with the yarn that Kathy did, which I really would like to, because I loved it. I loved how it laid on me. I loved how it felt. Like, I just loved everything about that sweater. So I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to make sure right now. No, I don't like to be impulsive. So, and Jody really loved it too. And so I think she's going to knit it as well. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We may all end up with our Rukatara sweaters. All right, friends, that's it for today, but I do want to thank you so much for coming here and spending time with me today. That means a lot to me. I also want to thank those of you who have supported me over on Ko-Fi. That also really means a lot to me. And it actually, that money is being invested back into this channel. And hopefully very soon, I will be able to get a new camera. I'm hoping you guys can tell a little bit of a difference with the video quality, because right now I just use my selfie camera so I can see myself. So thank you guys so much for that. Thank you just for being here and liking and commenting and saying hello. I love reading your comments. If you have not done so already, please consider subscribing and liking this video if you liked what you watched today. And be sure to check out my backlog of other videos. Just recently posted one, 10 sweaters that I would reknit. That was a really fun one for me to make. So maybe you want to check that out, since we are getting into sweater weather here in the Northern Hemisphere. All right, so until next time, enjoy your knitting and your other craftiness, and I will see you again soon.